welcome along to the transfer show. A little over 6 weeks for clubs to get their business done. Could there be some major twists involving some of the Premier League heavyweights? Speaking of heavyweights,
who wrote that?
Mark McAdam is with me this evening. We'll bring you right up to speed with all the done deals and developing transfer stories. We've got the latest on Marcus Rashford as his move to Barcelona takes a significant step forward this evening. And what does that mean for United's move for Bryan Mbeumo? Fee agreed, medical done. So when will his £71 million move be confirmed? Plus, later in the show, we'll be joined in the studio by Jonathan David's agent following his huge move to Juventus. Yeah, plenty to get through, but there is only one place to start, and that is with Marcus Rashford's move from Manchester United to Barcelona. Mark, where are we with it?
I think Marcus Rashford will be one of the happiest men in the world right now because he's getting what he's described as a dream opportunity and a dream move to Barcelona, one of the Spanish giants. Now, the latest is he's currently travelling to Spain to formalise and complete the details and medical with regards to this move from Manchester United. What we understand is it's a loan with an option. Not quite sure on the price yet, but when he went to Aston Villa last season, the option for Villa to convert that loan into a permanent transfer was £40 million. You'd imagine it'll be a similar sort of figure in this regard as well. Barcelona will cover Marcus Rashford's wages, which are believed to be in excess of £300,000 a week. One of the key things here, Dharmesh, is that Hansi Flick, the head coach of Barcelona, gave this move the green light. So when you've got a green light from the boss who wants a player to join, I think it says a lot about how they feel about Marcus Rashford. We've been speaking throughout the course of this summer about their desire to sign a left-sided winger/striker, which he is. We know that that list consisted of Nico Williams and Luis Diaz, but Marcus Rashford was on their list and he was a player very much on their radar. He's still got 2 years left on his contract at the end of this loan as well. So Manchester United is still very much in the driving seat with regards to Marcus Rashford's future. However, depending on how this season goes, will obviously have a big effect on what happens moving forward. I think the big thing here is we know that Marcus Rashford probably hasn't been in the happiest place. And he had that loan at Aston Villa where he shone in moments where you could see the type of qualities he had as a player. He said he wanted to play at the highest level. He said he wanted to carry on playing Champions League football. He's now got this dream. He did that interview with Expire, which is a huge YouTuber out in Spain, and said, look, it'd be my dream to play with Lamine Yamal. It would be my dream to play at Barcelona. Well, that dream is now coming true. Hopefully we'll see a happy Marcus Rashford on the pitch at the Nou Camp, and then hopefully he can start getting back to his very best.
Just picking up on what you said there with regard to Marcus Rashford's contract situation, that's key in this deal, isn't it? Because there was talk, do Manchester United want to perhaps make it an obligation to buy? But because he's still got 2 years left after this loan move expires, if Barcelona don't take up the option, they've still got that vital bit of breathing space, haven't they, to still get good money for Marcus Rashford if they decide to sell him next summer.
That's something Manchester United have been quite clever with a lot of the players they've sent out on loan. They've either got all of the wages covered and got a loan fee, or they've got some kind of incremental payment depending on performances. So Manchester United have done this with a lot of their players, and this will be very much the case with Marcus Rashford. You'd imagine that they could be in the driving seat this time next year, of course. If they get what is in the contract now, the option that Barcelona have to pay, they'll be satisfied. If he has a really successful loan spell over the course of the next year, his price could potentially go up if Barcelona decide not to activate that. And then in the European market, he could still have quite a hefty value because of his performances over the course of the next year. So it certainly feels like the right move for all parties. We know that there's been 5 Manchester United players that are all subject to the exit door at Old Trafford, Marcus Rashford being one of them and being the first one to depart the club. It feels like that noise and that unsavoury atmosphere that perhaps could have gone on for longer periods of time over the course of this summer will now dissipate, and he can start to focus on getting back to his very best.
Big incentive as well, and the reason why it probably works for all parties, this deal, is the fact that there's a World Cup at the end of the season. So Marcus Rashford, for his own future, needs to be playing football. Barcelona, what a stage to be playing your football. And if he plays well, he could get into the England squad. And if he plays well, it can only benefit Manchester United and Barcelona, financially from Manchester United's point of view, but footballing-wise from a Barcelona perspective.
It feels like there's no losers in this deal. It feels like a really positive move for Marcus Rashford, for Manchester United and for Barcelona. And he spoke of his desire to be involved in that World Cup squad in 2026. That's very much on his radar. At 27 years old, he's still, just hitting his prime, really. So there's no reason why a really solid season won't mean he can't be in Thomas Tuchel's thinking for next year and the World Cup, which is very much on his agenda.
So Marcus Rashford's move to Barcelona edging closer, and Manchester United's move for the Brentford forward, Bryan Mbeumo, that has now entered the stages, we're told. It's understood Mbeumo has completed his medical and formalised the details on a long-term contract. Every expectation that all will be sorted in time for Bryan Mbeumo to be part of the squad that flies out to the United States on Tuesday. That's for the club's pre-season tour. Just a reminder of that deal, it's worth £71 million in total. United will pay an initial £65 million, that's in 4 instalments, plus £6 million performance-related add-ons. And you touched on it before, those 5 players who potentially could leave. I think the priority for Manchester United now, I know the fans are asking about Mbeumo and trying to bring in a striker straight after. Right now, the priority for Manchester United is get the Bryan Mbeumo deal over the line, sort out the Marcus Rashford deal, and then sort out potential departures for the likes of Jadon Sancho, Alejandro Garnacho, Antony, and, of course, Tyrell Malacia. So plenty to talk about with regard to Manchester United. Let's go from Manchester United now, though, Mark, to Liverpool. They have had an incredible window, and it looks like they'll be adding even more. Hugo Ekitike potentially on his way to Anfield. What's the latest on that one?
Yeah, well, this is what you get when you run really sensibly and sustainably and you don't spend any money in the summer of 2024. It means you've got a rather large chequebook and you can attack the window, and that's exactly what Liverpool are doing. They've got these targets, they've gone out and got them nice and early, and yet there could be another €100 million player about to hit Anfield. Hugo Ekitike, what's the latest? Well, talks have continued over the course of this weekend between Liverpool and Eintracht Frankfurt. We reported yesterday that the fixed fee part of the deal was agreed. That bit was sorted between the two football clubs. That's €80 million, which is around £69 million. That's the guaranteed payment that Liverpool will be making to Eintracht Frankfurt. The conversations then continued with regards to what the add-ons were. Now, we've been reporting throughout the course of this summer that Eintracht Frankfurt wanted €100 million for the player. They're not going to get that, but they certainly will be getting close. There were some reports today on social media and from some transfer experts saying the deal was worth around €95 million. Our sources haven't confirmed that as of yet, but there is a real confidence between both clubs that they can get the deal finalised and sorted. I know there has been further contact and negotiations throughout the course of today. One of the things that's quite important to point out with Eintracht Frankfurt is that they're really meticulous about the way they do business and the way they do their player sales. And they always stand firm on the valuations that they have on the players. Now, you'll know because you've covered these transfers in the past, and they're always very specific about what they get, and they always want top dollar for their players. And when you look at the list of players that they've actually sold to Europe and to teams in the Premier League, you can see the type of money that they are generating. Obviously, Randall Kolo Muani up the top there for £64.2 million. Omar Mamouche to Manchester City in the January window as well for just over £60 million. Jovic to Real Madrid, Sebastian Haller as well for £45 million to West Ham a few years ago. And obviously, when you look at the potential deal for Hugo Ekitike, it would sit right at the sharp end, right at the top of that list, which gives you an indication as to the type of deal this is, the money that's involved, the type of player they have on their hands, and what Liverpool potentially are getting. We know that the player wants to move. He was keen to join the Premier League, and when the interest of Liverpool was made aware to the player, he was like, absolutely, I want to join the Premier League champions. We know that there was that rejected bid from Newcastle earlier in the week as well. But as soon as Liverpool entered the transfer, for him, he had one eye and one eye only on that football club. So it feels like, with that basis, the personal term's not going to be a problem. It feels like it's only a matter of time now before we get deal agreed. Hugo Ekitike will be heading to Anfield.
You say Hugo Ekitike heading to Anfield. He could have been heading to St James's Park because, of course, Newcastle United had a £70 million bid rejected by Eintracht Frankfurt. And this was, of course, against the backdrop of a certain Alexander Isak. Now, Newcastle United were thrashed 4-0 by Celtic in a pre-season friendly yesterday. Alexander Isak was not in the squad, and in fact, he was left at home. Eddie Howe told everyone and the media exactly why Isak was left at home. Here he is now.
Alex was with us all the way through Austria, but today, with all the speculation and things that are going on, I decided to send him home. The last thing Alex wants if he's not playing is to be sat in the stand. Being under that scrutiny, I don't think that's fair to the player. So if he wasn't going to play today, which we mutually agreed that he needs a little bit more training time, then it's best he's not here. Yes, I've had discussions with him, but that's not abnormal. I respect a player's career and how short it is. All the time I will be communicating my desires and my wishes to them and what I see and trying to help them. Alex has been really good and he's trained really well so far this season. So I know there'll be lots of noise around it and I can't really control that, but from inside he's been really good.
Has there been any approach for Alex? Has there been any offers or anything like that?
No, there's been no formal approach.
I respect a player's career and how short it is. Key words from Eddie Howe there about Alexander Isak. Should Newcastle United fans be worried in any way that this has reared its head again, given Liverpool have kind of pivoted from Alexander Isak to Hugo Ekitike? Could it go back the other way?
I don't think so. I think Liverpool are so far down the track with Hugo Ekitike and Frankfurt that it won't happen. However, the noise, I hate to say, for Newcastle fans won't go away. You get the feeling that we'll be talking about Alexander Isak right the way through to deadline day on September the 1st. The positive as far as Newcastle fans are concerned is that Liverpool spending the best part of €100 million on Hugo Ekitike means that they don't have €100 million to spend on someone like Alexander Isak. And as we know, where the Premier League sides are conscious of PSR, we know that teams in La Liga have to be very careful about what they spend as well, particularly Barcelona, so it leaves only Real Madrid. There are very few sides in European football that could afford the type of money that Newcastle want. Now, their stance is quite clear, and Eddie Howe said this after the game yesterday. He's not for sale. We don't want to sell him. And that will be their message to any potential suitor between now and September the 1st. But this is a player that got 32 goal involvements last season in all competitions. He was absolutely sensational. He was one of the best strikers in world football last season. So there is always going to be noise. There is always going to be interest. Now, Newcastle do hold the cards because he has 3 years left on his current Newcastle contract. So therefore, it's not like it's 1 or 2 years left where they have to start thinking about the financial side of any transfer dealing. They still very much hold the cards there. And Eddie Howe has made it quite clear to Alexander Isak, I want you here. I want you to lead my attack. I want you to be a part of this Champions League squad and be a part of this team that I believe can not only better what we did last season by winning the League Cup, winning more silverware, but I believe we can have a huge impact in the Champions League, and you're a key part of it. So any noise, put it to one side if possible. Let's focus on Newcastle.
It does sound like, and I know Newcastle United fans won't want to hear this, but from what Eddie Howe was saying, that maybe Isak's head had been turned by this interest from Liverpool. Now, you mentioned that Newcastle United hold the cards, 3 years left on his contract. If they keep him, which we expect him to, as it stands, come next summer, if they haven't tied him down to another contract and maybe a reasonable release clause so all parties are happy, he'll then have 2 years left on his contract. And Newcastle United might then find themselves in a position where they've got a player in Alexander Isak, who's only got 2 years left on his contract, And one of their number one targets in Hugo Ekitike is now plying his trade at Liverpool. Are they going to find themselves in a position where not only would they have to bring in someone to replace Isak, but another striker as well? Would they have to be in the market for two players in that position?
Very possibly so. We know that they're in the market for a striker this summer. And Eddie Howe's plan was not just to buy Hugo Ekitike as a replacement for Alexander Isak. He had a plan to play them both together, but he also had a succession plan should Newcastle decide to sell Alexander Isak in this window or next summer. So I think that's quite important to point out. I think the situation moving forward is very much, they've lost Callum Wilson. They have Will Asula, who's a younger striker and an exciting prospect and product maybe for the future and a project for the future. So they do need someone who can fill the void if Alexander Isak were to be injured or to not be available, or as they've done in this pre-season, Eddie Howe wanted to share the load amongst the strike force. João Pedro was a player that they were very much interested in, who could play as that false nine, who could play through the middle as well. They weren't able to get that deal over the line. So therefore, they're back at the drawing board looking at their options and targets, because it's absolutely a position they do need to strengthen. The problem for Newcastle is everyone knows that they had £70 million rejected by Eintracht Frankfurt, so they know exactly how much is on the chequebook.
Yeah, very much so. Now, it should be said that Eddie Howe did say that he is still confident of bringing in some players in this window, despite missing out on some of their big targets to other clubs. Right, don't go away, because coming up, we're joined by Florian Plettenberg as he brings us all the transfer news from Germany.
They play with Leon Goretzka. So let's see what will happen. My feeling is that there is movement on the player side, because right now they are more open to listen to suitable offers, to possible offers. There were rumors about Arsenal. I cannot confirm a concrete interest from Arsenal right now for Gonzalo, right now. Inter was cold in the last couple of days, but he still has a big name in the Premier League. It all depends on the suitable offer. I think Bayern is ready to speak in the range of 35, 40 million euro.
Be interesting to keep an eye on. Now, you teased it at the start of the interview. RB Leipzig could be busy. Could they be losing two big names, though?
Well, we first have to speak about Xavi Simons. Xavi Simons is a player who has made clear internally that he wants to leave the club immediately. He doesn't want to play for RB Leipzig in the next summer. And right now, there's a lot of movement in the market. His brother is representing him, and they also get the support from Epic. Epic, a very, very big agency, as you also know, with many big connections in the Premier League. To my understanding, they are looking for possible interests in the Premier League. So let's see if there will be movement with Chelsea or, for example, with Arsenal right now, because he was also linked to FC Bayern. I cannot confirm that FC Bayern is pushing for Xavi Simons, maybe later in the transfer window, but not right now. And we are convinced that he can leave RB Leipzig in the range of 50, 60, 65 million euro. And the other name we have to speak about is, is Benjamin Sesko, a player who says, okay, if there is not the right offer this summer, I can also imagine to stay, but there's also now many, many movements in the background. And there are also talks with interested clubs. To our clear understanding, Manchester United is targeting him. He's one of 2 or 3 candidates as a new number 9 striker. Then the other one is Nicholas Jackson, what we have confirmed. And the other one is Benjamin Sesko. And I cannot close the door for a possible Chelsea interest. Let's see what will happen then in the next 2 or 3 weeks with Benjamin Sesko ahead.
Florian, time is catching us up. So just one final question. Today, you posted a very intriguing line about the Manchester City keeper, Ederson. What's the latest there?
We have confirmed that there's a kind of verbal agreement in place between him and his new agent, Julio Cesar, the Brazilian goalkeeper legend. That's his new agent. And with Galatasaray, that doesn't mean that the transfer will happen, because we have also the information that there is no concrete contact between the clubs right now. So let's see what will happen. Ederson open to join Galatasaray big net salary ahead. There's a verbal agreement now in place. They are also targeting Trafford from Burnley, as Burnley has also signed a new goalkeeper from Germany. As you know, we also have to look on Stefan Ortega. What will happen with him? Is he possible the new number one, or will he remain the number two? So there is movement in the goal of Manchester City.
Yeah, it will be really interesting. Florian, thanks so much for your time tonight on the Transfer Show.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome back to the Transfer Show. As promised, agent Nick Mavramaras joins us in the studio. Nick, really great to see you. Thanks for your time. Your big move in this window, of course, was Jonathan David to Juventus. I know a high-profile transfer for him was, well, it was years in the making, wasn't it? How pleased were you to get it over the line in this window?
Yeah, thanks for having me, first of all, but super pleased to get this one over the line, mostly for him, because double-digit goals since 2018, and he fully deserves that. Ends up with 109 goals, 30 assists after 5 years in Lille, so 100% deserved for him.
It has been some journey for Jonathan, hasn't it? Ghent, Lille, and now the mighty Juventus. How close was he to making that big step earlier on in his career?
Man, it was many conversations, as you guys probably realize, over all the transfer windows, especially the summer windows. But when I say very close, I mean it takes 4 parties to make a deal happen, obviously. Many conversations though, but we feel very pleased with this one. Massive club, great history, so yeah, couldn't be more pleased for Jonathan.
You can see from the pictures here and the welcome he's received, that must be so nice for a player. We sometimes hear about players wanting to make the big move too early on in their career. Was he patient, or did you have to have that conversation and say, look, keep scoring goals, keep doing what you're doing, and eventually you'll get to where you need to be? Were you both on the same page for his pathway?
He was amazing over these last 5 years with the amount of goals and assists that he scored. He was excellent, very patient, very understanding. We always spoke about what he needed, always to improve in his game in order to get to the very next level. But he was, I'm very proud of his progress, because he started in Belgium, record transfer to Lille in France, and then make a big step up now at 25 years old at Juventus. So I think it's a career to mimic for other players as well. And yeah, we'll see.
And you've grown together as well, and having worked in football for 25 years or so, that relationship between the agent and the player is vital to everything about their development, about their progression, about their happiness, about their commercial activity. Is that something you built up over that period of time with Jonathan, where you both understand each other, you're both on the same page? It's such a key part of football, isn't it? People don't realise the influence that agents can have on players' careers.
We've been working since his first day, 16 years old. So when we first got him the trial to Red Bull Salzburg back then. So we have a strong bond. He's been with us since day number 1. So most important is communication, honesty, and that's the most important thing. And I think he's an excellent human being. So yeah, the bond is amazing.
Nick, I can imagine the complexities involved in getting a big deal like this done. When you reflect and you write your book, when you've retired, what would you say was the biggest challenge in getting this one over the line?
There was various. Obviously, you want to analyze all the club interest and make the right decision for the player. We're talking about a free transfer, so you want to balance a sportive project and the financial one. And then there was, especially in this case with Juventus, there was a sporting director change late in the summer. Meanwhile, conversations had started earlier with another sportive team. In all honesty, he could have ended up in another Italian club over the summer window. So just navigating all these things and obviously satisfying, the sportive project and the financial one, especially for a free transfer.
Now, you've been doing big deals for a number of years. Can you give us an insight into what it's like? Because me and Dharmesh cover transfers for, summer in, winter windows, and you often hear about clubs tracking a player for a long period of time and watching their development for a number of years. Can you try and take us through the details of how the Juventus deal happened, when they first contacted you, and what that process and timeline was like to signing the contract?
Specifically with Juventus, it's been long contacts that we've had. That sporting director, who's no longer there, Cristiano Giuntoli, was before Napoli and gave. He's always been following Jonathan since 2020. Specifically for Juventus, I think it was about October 2024 when we first started these conversations, and moved on. And the new sportive director that came in took over these conversations. Obviously, a great bond as well with Damian Comoli and Giorgio Chiellini, who have been great in getting this over the line. So, yeah, I mean, it's quite a while since we started the first conversation.
That's fantastic. It often takes a long time to get these deals done. I guess when the sporting director changes as well, it puts everything in the air and you think, well, is this going to happen now? Can you give us an insight into the kind of conversations you had with Juventus when you get to that final stage, when you feel like you're nearly there with an agreement, but I guess it's just about getting those final details sorted?
I mean, very, very typical, like in every deal. But obviously, this one is a little bit bigger, quite bigger. But normal conversations about what we need to discuss for the player, especially on the sportive side, and the financial side. I mean, nothing too different from the other deals, right? So, yeah, it was normal conversations. We were absolutely convinced, and Jonathan was convinced that this was the right club for him. So it was quite smooth.
Nick, I've been talking about Jonathan David for a number of transfer windows, as you are well aware. But there was always interest in him, wasn't there, from Premier League clubs? How close was a move to England and the Premier League to happening, not only in this window, but in previous ones as well?
I would say let's 50-50. I mein, like I said earlier, it takes 4 parties to get a deal over the line. Many conversations with English clubs, many. But in the end, I mean, we chose Italy. I think it was a great fit for him. So, yeah, I would say 50-50 chance, but we're very, very happy with this one.
Yeah, congratulations on the deal. Nick, thanks so much for your time. Don't go anywhere, because after the break, we will be speaking to you a little bit more just on the general challenges of being an agent. Let's just get one other story for you, and it concerns Sunderland. They've been busy in this transfer window, 6 new additions already. They had hoped to add a 7th in the form of Sassuolo forward Armand Loriente. But that deal is now off. Our reporter Keith Downey is at their pre-season camp in South Portugal with the latest.
It's been a very busy summer for Sunderland so far, with 6 new arrivals as they prepare for the return to the Premier League after an 8-year hiatus. It was almost 7 yesterday after French winger Armand Loriente travelled here to the Algarve to finalise a £17.5 million transfer to Sunderland from Sassuolo. But at the very last minute there was a hitch in the deal and all parties couldn't come to an agreement, and as a result Loriente is now heading back to Italy to rejoin Sassuolo. So a real blow that for Sunderland, because he was going to come in and be an option on left wing, and another left wing option, Romain Mundle, has also been in hospital over the weekend getting surgery on a hamstring injury. So that means Sunderland still need to add this transfer window. As I touched on already, they've added 6 new faces to the tune of £95 million, and their sporting director Christian Speakman told me recently they're looking to add several more as they try to strengthen the whole spine of the team ahead of the return to the Premier League.
Welcome back to the Transfer Show. Time now to go around the clubs. Dharmesh, take it away.
Thank you very much, Mark. Arsenal are on a pre-season tour in Asia. They are finalising deals for Victor Gyökeres and Christian Mosquera.
Aston Villa are yet to have any formal offers for striker Ollie Watkins in this window. The 29-year-old still has 3 years left on his contract.
Bournemouth still in the market for a central defender and a striker.
Brentford are still working on a deal for Ipswich winger Amari Hutchinson, and they've still not had any formal offers for Johan Visser. Any deal is likely to cost upwards of £14 million.
Brighton striker Evan Ferguson has arrived in Italy ahead of his loan move to Roma. The deal comes with an option to buy for £34 million.
Burnley are yet to have any formal offers from Manchester City for goalkeeper James Trafford. It's believed Newcastle have moved on to other targets.
No formal offers yet for Chelsea striker Nicholas Jackson, but plenty of interest from clubs in the Premier League and in Europe.
Reports suggest Crystal Palace remain in the market for a centre-back, with Sporting Lisbon defender Ousmane Diomande high on their list of targets.
Everton look like they're still in the market for a right-back in this transfer window. They want to recruit in other areas as well.
Fulham remain in talks with Arsenal about another season-long loan for Reece Nelson.
Leeds United are finalising a deal for Hoffenheim midfielder Anton Stach after agreeing a fee worth at least £17.4 million.
Liverpool have spent the weekend in talks with Eintracht Frankfurt regarding the add-ons to the Hugo Ekitike deal. It's getting closer, but it's not done yet.
Sky Germany reporting Galatasaray are interested in Manchester City goalkeeper Ederson.
Bryan Mbeumo has completed his Manchester United medical, with the club confident they can get the paperwork signed in time for him to be on their pre-season tour of America. They leave on Tuesday.
Eddie Howe remains confident Newcastle United will bring in more players after missing out on some targets to other clubs.
Nottingham Forest are considering an approach to Bologna over the signing of winger Dan Ndoye. Napoli are also interested. The deal could be worth up to £30 million.
Sunderland's deal for Armand Loriente is off. Sunderland chose to end negotiations with all parties after the winger had travelled to Portugal to meet his new teammates and have a medical.
There's been no further progress on the Morgan Gibbs-White deal, and Spurs are relaxed about the business they still have to do in this window.
West Ham United have confirmed the signing of Kyle Walker-Peters on a free transfer. He signed a 3-year deal.
Wolves are in the market for a pacey attacking winger and attacking midfielders, and that completes the Premier League wrap.
Yeah, we mentioned it before with regard to Brighton. Their striker Evan Ferguson is in Italy ahead of his move to Rome this evening. It's a proposed loan move to the capital. Now, the agreement contains an option to buy at just under £34.7 million. The 20-year-old spent the second half of last season on loan at West Ham United, but he was limited to just 8 appearances and failed to score. It was Potter who gave him his senior debut for Brighton in February 2022 as a 17-year-old. Now, agent Nick Mavromaras is still with us. Thanks again for your patience and for coming in, Nick. Just generally, life of an agent. Just give us an insight into the challenges you face. What would you say is the biggest?
Biggest challenge as an agent, I would say, we always want to be better every single day. And our competition, of course, the most important is to deliver for our clients, because there's always somebody out there who, many very good agents out there who want to do proper business and really good business. So you have to level up every single day, and the most important is delivering for our players.
Listen, agents are often given a bad press, aren't they? Why? Is it fair?
I don't think it's fair. There's so much work that's been done behind the scene every single day. There's, just like in every job in the world, there's some very good agents, there's some bad agents. But personally, for myself, I started a very long time ago, about 13 years ago, from zero. And with a lot of hard work, with honest work, daily grind. My first 4 years were extremely difficult, not doing any deals. And I think, recruiting well and pushing yourself to your limits, being determined, with a lot of perseverance. I think if you do the right things, you'll end up making it. So I do think agents are, there's bad press around them, and there's many good ones out there. So yeah, we should be seen as normal human beings like everybody else.
Started from the bottom, now we're here. There's a song in there.
There is, definitely. Like you say, there's so much that an agent does. It's not just about moving a player and signing a contract. Can you give us an insight into perhaps some of the the things you do for some of your players, some of the things that are really important to the culture of your organisation and how you look after these players? Because it's not just I'll speak to you in 4 years' time when the contract's coming to an end, is it? Every day, every week, every month.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not only about negotiating a deal. Specifically, for example, Jonathan David, we have a whole team around him with a family office. We take care of his marketing, take care of his finances. In terms of investment, we've got an excellent striker coach who does work with him on a weekly basis. We've got trainers at his house on a daily basis. So we offer all these services for our players in order to, because the game today has become so complex and at a very, there's so many games, so many matches at a very, very high level and intensity. They need to be working outside the training pitch as well. So
Nick, time is catching up with us. In 15 seconds, any regrets?
Not at all. Very grateful from day number one. So it's a beautiful job, and I do recommend it for young and ambitious other wannabe agents that want to become agents, but need to be very, very strong mentally. But
Nick Mavromaras, thank you so much indeed for coming on to the Transfer Show and sharing all your insights into your job. And Mark McAdam, heavyweight performance from you tonight.
This is Sport Lab, bringing you the latest from a hectic transfer market weekend. Let's get straight into the headlines. Manchester United's move for Brentford forward Bryan Mbeumo is in its final stages, with an official announcement expected soon. Meanwhile, Marcus Rashford is on his way to Spain to complete a surprise loan move to Barcelona. Liverpool have agreed a fixed fee of £69 million with Eintracht Frankfurt for striker Hugo Ekitike, with bonus negotiations ongoing. Elsewhere, Kyle Walker-Peters has officially joined West Ham on a free transfer following the expiry of his Southampton contract in June. In other transfer developments, Armand Laurienté's proposed move to Sunderland has collapsed. Brighton striker Evan Ferguson is set to arrive in Rome tonight to finalise a loan move to Roma, and Rapid Vienna have secured a deal for Celtic winger Marco Tilio. Which of these moves excites you most, Rashford's La Liga switch, or Ekitike's arrival at Liverpool? Drop your thoughts, and stay tuned to Sport Lab for the latest transfer buzz.